It is Saturday, is the 18th, I believe. Yes, indeed. And we are doing our free Praxis Core webinar right now. Let me just make sure I've got it on here. Good, there we go. And I am live on the webinar. I see some of you are already in the chat, so that is awesome. Let me know that you can hear me and see me okay. And I can see some of you already here. Lacey, Rochelle, Javone. Yes, it is free to watch it. You've signed up. You're in the webinar. You can communicate via chat if you're in the webinar. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, there is a link in the description that will help you get the free resources with this webinar. So if you want the free study guide and all the other stuff with this webinar, then you can do that by clicking the link in the description, and you will be able to add your name to a form, and then you will get that form. Okay. Oh, let me go live on Facebook. I didn't click that. All right, there we go. So we are live all over the place. And today we're doing the Praxis Core webinar, all about the basic skills. And I know it's a little more difficult than just basic skills. All right, looks like everybody can hear me. Welcome, guys. Welcome. You are going to be assessed on your reading skills, so reading comprehension, your writing skills, which also includes grammar, and 2 essays, and then your math skills, which, if you haven't seen the math on this exam for 20 years, you haven't, maybe you went to school for something else. I got my degree in English. So when I became a teacher, I hadn't seen some of this math in a very long time. It can be really complicated. So we're going to go over that today. Now, when you signed up for this webinar, you got a free study guide. And again, if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, wherever else I am, LinkedIn, there is a link in the description to click to sign up, and you too can get that free study guide. So do that, and you can do that later. Just watch me now. I'm going to project everything, but you can do that later. And also for those of you who are in here now, after the webinar is over, I'm going to send you an email with all of the information in it. If you're watching this in the future, because we do offer the replay in the future, you already have that email. It already has everything when you sign up. So when we're live, you get it after the live. When we're in the future and it's recorded, you automatically get it. Okay. So it looks like we have a bunch of people. We have Rhode Island, we have Chicago, South Carolina. Good morning. Looks like everybody can hear me and see me. Okay. That's awesome. Let's see. Any questions so far? Looks like you guys are good. You can hear me and see me. Awesome. All right. So I do have a colleague in the chat. Her name is Yana, and we have an offer code for you to use today if you do want to get our materials. If you don't, and you're like, I'm on a budget, I can't afford to buy anything, our free stuff is awesome. So I'm going to show you where to get some free stuff too. You got a free study guide with this webinar, and a lot of people pass with the free stuff. Other people want more, and that's okay too. Just so you know, this test is very big, and I just published a 3rd edition to our Praxis Core. If you got the 2nd edition before this came out, you are fine. Don't go buying it again. You're fine. But if you are new and you need a book and you haven't gotten a book yet, I recommend getting the 3rd edition. If you like a physical, you get it on Amazon. Now the code, and you can see Yana just dropped the code in the chat. Thank you, Yana. That only works on our website. We can't offer discounts on KDP Publishing because they're the publisher. But if you want a digital copy, you can get that on our website. And if you have PDF viewer, you can highlight on there. Some people like the digital copy. Other people want a physical book. Totally get it. This is the one that's on Amazon. It is the pink cover. Praxis is our pink program. All my programs have different colors. And you can see that this new book is very big and it has a lot of information in it. If you already have the 2nd edition, not the 3rd, you are fine. You do not need to go and buy a new book. If you bought the digital copy, just go in there and download it again. And if you need help with that, we can help you. info@kathleenjasper.com. And it'll update. You'll get the newer edition. So if you bought the digital, you just go in and download it. We always update whenever we update a book. Now, let me show you really quick the free study guide you got. And again, if you didn't have time to download the free study guide, don't worry about it because I'm projecting everything today. Okay. So this is, that's the paid. This is the free study guide. Sorry. And it's got a bunch of questions. We've got some reading passages here. We have some grammar. I've got some essay practice for you. And then I have a bunch of math. And I tried to pull little bits of information from each section of the exam. So that works well for you there. And then if you're interested in the full, you can see the difference here. This is the digital copy of the full one. The table of contents is linked up. So like You can jump around to like, certain sections of the book if you want to. And then there are full length practice tests, 3 for each section for this in the 3rd edition. So tons of practice. Let me go to the practice test here. Like that's just the math. I mean, there's so much. This is a huge test. But you can see full length practice tests here. And then of course you want to pay attention to the very detailed answer explanations. So please, when you're using my books, go to the answer explanations. I'm going to do a lot of explaining today, so don't worry. But in the online course as well, I do a lot of explaining as well. Okay, so that's really important. So again, you have the free study guide. If you would like more, we do have more available. And let me just show you where to get that very quickly before we start. Where is my little... Hang on. I need to pull up my website. Okay. There we go. If you want to get our products, you can just go over to KathleenJasper.com here. You can see we have our study guides, Praxis Core. This will come up. If you only need the math or you only need the writing, you can buy just one subtest digitally. Okay. But if you need more than one, buy the whole thing. It's cheaper that way. Don't split them up. Again, if you click on here, physical copy, you can see it takes you over here. This is the new version. So if you hit the old version, just click see all formats of this test and you'll see, oh, it doesn't show the old version. It's down here, but this is the old version. You can see we have tons of 5-star reviews for that one. This hasn't been reviewed yet. If you purchase this and you have a review to give, would you mind reviewing it on Amazon? Because this book has 0 reviews. It would be great if it had some more reviews, but you can see we have lots of 5-star on the previous edition, which is this, but this has more content. So, and then if you want to get one last thing, if you want to get the online course, which is also on the website, you can see that this is the online course. I'm just going to choose the math here. The whole course you can see is available to you when you log into our online portal here. I'm going to show you the math because it's the most extensive. I literally have videos for every single content category, right? Oh, I show you how to use the calculator. But we have quizzes, and then I have practice test explanations where I go through every single question on the practice test. So this is like 1 through 10, 11 through 20. And I recorded it this way so you could skip ahead if you didn't need like the first 10 or whatever, or you can jump ahead. You can go work with me. You can go as your own pace. You can do this at your own speed. It's self-paced. So it's all up to you. And again, you can get all of this on our website. Under online courses, you can see Praxis Core is available here. You can buy those individually if you want. And again, the online course comes with the digital book. So you get everything in the online course. And we have a new app on our phone and on our iPads and things like that make accessing your courses so much easier. All right. So enough of that. Let's get into the actual stuff. Let me go ahead and Talia, I passed the GACE because of Kathleen. Awesome. The GACE is the test in Georgia. It's just like ETS makes it. So it's just the same. Jennifer's from Virginia. All right. I have to pass the 5025, not the same information. That's a different test, Jennifer. I just did the 5025. If you go to my website under webinars, click 5025. It's in the listed of pre-recorded. I just did it 2 weeks ago. So go there. You may want to stay here though, because you might have to take this test also. This is called the Praxis 1 and most people have to take it. Okay. Does this work for reading foundation test? No, this is a completely different test, Norma, but I just published our brand new Foundations of Reading test book. And I'm doing a webinar next weekend for that. So if you want to stay for this for your basic skills, this is going to help you. But if you're looking for Foundations of Reading, that's a totally different exam. Okay. All right. We are doing the Praxis Core today. So that's basic skills, reading comprehension, and not teaching reading comprehension, but actual you have to read the passage and answer questions. And then writing, so grammar, not teaching grammar, like not you're the teacher and you're answering scenario questions. No, you actually have to do the grammar. And then essay, and then math. You have to work through all the math. Okay. I take the Praxis Core in 2 weeks. Do you think that's enough time to study? Totally. Yeah, but I would get to it. It's a big test. You probably know where you're weak, like if you're weak in the math or in the English or whatever, so you can focus, but totally. And, you go in and take it. If you're taking the Praxis core by subtest, take them all the first time. I just did a video on this. People say, should I break it up? Should I take it one subject at a time? No, the first time taking it, take them all, because you could pass all or some sections and like they're out of your life. Why break it up? But then after that, let's say you pass the reading and you still have the grammar or the writing and the math. Then if you wanted to just take it one step at a time, you could do that. But I say first time taking it, take the whole thing. And you might grab all or some, and then you can really focus, and then you're exposed to the test. So you've sort of seen it. You can like know, oh, these questions were hard, and you can look them up. You can chat GPT them. You can look at my study guide. We cover everything here. Okay, Bridget, math is my weakest. How long should I study for that? Bridget, without seeing your math skills, I don't know. But here's one thing I'll say about math that I hear a lot. And I'm just going to use your example, Bridget, because I hear it a lot. People say, I'm not strong in math, or I'm not a math person. So you use the right word. You're weak in math, but you can get better. A lot of people have this like block with math, and they think, oh, I'm not a math person. You are a math person. You've just been successful in English or something else more often. And some people might say, I'm not a grammar person. I don't write. I don't like English. That's because you were successful in math. No one is a math person or an English person. Okay. We use both sides of our brains all the time. You might like math more, or you might like English more, but that it's not like, oh, I was born a math person. If we go back to the ancient times, artists were also mathematicians. This stuff of I'm only left brained or I'm only right brained. It's not true. We use both sides of the brain. So I say that because I don't want you to have a block, because that can hinder you on test day. You are a math person. You've just been successful in other areas. We're going to fix up your math. Okay, that's all we're going to do. Is this webinar for the Praxis 2? No, it's for the Praxis 1, Praxis Core. Okay, I am attempting Praxis 5752. For those of you in the chat, Praxis 5752 is the Praxis Core. It's just all given in one big giant thing. For the second time, I didn't pass like 10 points. Okay, let's go. Let's go, Bridget. We can make that happen. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So let's get started. First off, I'm going to tell you, we're not going to do the reading. Let me talk to you about a few reading strategies to do. Reading to you on a webinar is not the best use of your time, but what I will say is you need to understand some strategies, okay? So let me go to the free study guide where we have some reading passages here. Okay, let me share screen here. So I am on page 1 or sample passage 1 on the free study guide here. Okay. And again, you do not have to pull this out. I'm projecting everything, so you're good. Let me zoom in a little bit too, so you guys can see. Okay. So what people tend to do when they are faced with a reading test is they start up here, they read all the way down, and then they read the question, and then they read all the answer choices, and then they forgot everything they read, and they go back up here and read it all again. And they might get it, or they might have to go back again and read it again. Okay. So what I suggest you do is you read the question stem first. We always talk about working backward on my courses and on my videos. Now, some people go, I don't like doing that. Okay, then don't do it. But I will tell you, for a lot of people, this works. Set the purpose for reading. Read the question that you are being asked. Now, I like to work backwards on the answer choices when it comes to subject area exams. When we're talking about teaching exams, like exams that assess teaching, because a lot of times there will be good words in the answer choices that you can zoom in on, or bad words you can eliminate. In this case, we're talking about reading comprehension. In the reading, I would not read these because you haven't read anything yet, and it could be any one of those things. And I don't want to fill your brain with like random stuff, but I would definitely set the purpose. And you can see here, it's asking for the main idea. Okay. The main idea. So now I know while I'm reading this, I want to think about the main idea. Okay. Now, another thing I want you to think about when we're talking about main idea is anything too specific is not the correct answer. Okay, this is a trick, and I've tried this on other tests. I've done this with ACT because I used to teach ACT a bunch, and I'm going back to it here soon, and SAT. And I would do an experiment where I would take the main idea questions and I wouldn't read the passage. I would just look at the answer choices. And anything too specific, I would cross out and I would zero in on things that were general. And you can see here we have the movie Titanic was a blockbuster in the 1990s. Little specific. 11 Academy Awards, probably too specific. The director forfeited his salary. Sounds like a detail to me. This has an overwhelming cost. The movie was worth the risk. That sounds pretty general. The movie Titanic was the most expensive movie of its time. The A and B seem pretty general here. So if you do want to use the answer choices like I normally do, you can do it with the main idea questions. Have a quick look and see if anything is too specific, just note it and be like, that sounds too specific. Now I'm down to A and B, which B is actually the answer if you read this, because it talks about how much it costs. You can see 2 billion, but then it talks about all the Academy Awards here and all of that. So that's a trick. I have been teaching reading comprehension for years. I have a test prep company. Reading comprehension is always people's most difficult because they're not strategic. So what I want you to do is be strategic and do that while you're practicing. Don't decide, I'm going to try her strategy on test day, right? We don't want to do that. We want to do it while we are studying so we have a good understanding. Now, on the test, it's going to be a computer. So what will probably happen is on the left side, you're going to have the passage, and on the right side will be the question or questions. You'll need to look over on the right side and just have a look. And Lacey said, I hope it's Lacey or maybe it's Lace. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. This might be the thing that pushes you over the edge. Start practicing working backward. Now, I wouldn't look at all these answer choices if it was a details question or a specific question, because if it's details, any one of these could be the right answer. You got to read it first. But if you see the word main idea, just have a quick look. And I don't mean an hour. I mean like a quick 30 seconds or even less, 15 seconds, and see which ones seem a little too specific. And you can see here that C, D, and E look a little too specific. And just take note and then read A and B and go, these look like they're... Now, A is the distractor, which is the almost correct answer. You can see was the most expensive film. Well, look at this. The first paragraph talks all about 20 million. It's so much money, blah, blah, blah. If you're not thinking clearly, you go, oh, yep, it was expensive. That's actually just a detail because the rest of it goes on to say Golden Globes and it made all this money and blah, blah, blah. So it was the most expensive, overwhelming cost, but it was worth the risk. It's got to have that extra part there. Okay. So I'm just telling you, I have helped people go from a 22 on the ACT to a 33 on the reading. Okay. These tricks work. Be strategic, but practice, because if you're doing this on test day, you haven't gotten used to it. Soon you'll be jumping in and out of passages and you'll be like, you'll read like this. I mean, this is how I read, because I read technical documents all the time and I'm not reading from top to bottom. I'm trying to find the information. Okay. So the answer here is going to be B. All the other answer choices are details. Okay. So let's have a look at one more. I think, okay. The other strategy. So here's real quick, here is a details. Which of the following events? That's a detail, right? Well, look at all this. All these events could have happened. But what I want to do is I want to say, which of the following events was instrumental in shaping the success of Helen Keller? Now I have it in mind. Which of the following events was instrumental, meaning the most important? Okay. So now I'm reading with purpose and it's going to be a lot easier, right? I'm not saying it's going to work every time and you're going to get 100, but you are going to be a lot better. Now there's one more kind. And let me use the book for this one. I really want to show you guys the double passage. And the good news is these passages are relatively small on the Praxis core. A lot of tests have moved to smaller passages. In fact, the SAT, I was just looking over that. And I'm trying to find, here's a double. Okay. So, sorry, I lost my train of thought. The SAT has really short passages now. I was super excited to see that because a lot of kids have a hard time with these long passages. It's just the way that it is now. Their attention span's a little lower. And again, it takes a lot of cognitive endurance to get through this. Well, what do people do? This is the real big problem. Let me zoom in here. These end up being people's hardest ones, right? They go, oh my God, the passage A and B, those are my hardest ones. They will become your easiest ones if you follow this strategy. Are you ready? Okay. Usually people start here, they read passage A, then they go and read passage B. You already forgot what passage A was about, okay? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go into the questions the best you can. And remember, you have scratch paper. So you can use the scratch paper to identify what numbers, if you have to click, you might have to click to the next question. But notice this says both passages here. I'm skipping that one. All right. This is my first step. I'm going to go look for the ones that have, according to passage A, what does the author blah, blah, blah? Okay. I'm going to find all the questions to passage A, read them. Then I'm going to read passage A. And I'm going to answer passage A's questions. Then I'm going to find all the questions for passage B only. Then I'm going to read passage B. And I'm going to answer passage B's questions. Then I'm going to find the both passages questions. Now I've read passage A, answer passage A's questions, read passage B, answer passage B's questions. Now I'm going to now I've got it in my head. I've already answered the questions. I really know what the two are about. Now I can most likely answer double passage questions, both passages, much easier. When you break it up like that, and if you got kids taking the ACT, this is the key to the double passage. They'll usually get one double passage and it's big. That's how you do it. So let me just see here. Let me find the practice test for this one more time. I just want to show this to you guys because I stand by this. Okay. So you can see that questions 36 through 45 refer to the following passages. And on the exam, you might get this. So you know that number 45 is your last question. So if you have to be clicking on the right side, once you get to 45, that's it. Don't click anymore. If you do, it's fine. Just click back. It's okay. But you can see here we have in passage A. So I'm going to read that one first. In passage A, we've got endemic. Okay. So I'm going to go find that. All right. Passage B, I'm skipping it. Passage A and B, I'm skipping it. Passage A and B, I'm skipping it. Passage B, passage A. All right. I'm going to read it. A and B, A and B. A and B. Okay. So I read all of passage A's questions. Now I'm going to read passage A. Then I'm going to go in. I'm going to answer passage A's questions. Then I'm going to go out. I'm going to read passage B. Here we go. Passage B. I think there were only a couple. 2. There were 2, right? Okay, cool. Then I'm going to read passage B, answer passage B's questions. Then I'm going to go in, and the ones I didn't answer are passage A and B, and now I got it in my head. I know what I'm doing. Okay? So somebody's saying, I tend to panic with time limits. This actually is going to save you time. I know that you think like, oh my God, it actually saves you time. You got to practice. You have to practice your reading. Now, if this stresses you out, then I recommend reading the questions first, just all of them, just the question stem, and then reading A and B. Okay. So, I'm telling you it works, but again, you have to practice. And also, if reading is not your strong suit and you need to work on the reading, you need to read more. There is no silver bullet for reading. In order to be exposed to the language and everything else, you have to read more, and you will get, it's almost like running. The more you run, the faster you get, the longer you can run. That's the same with reading. So if you're only reading when you're practicing your passages for test day, that's not enough. And you've got to read more. It's just the way it is. Sarah, I've been teaching my students this strategy for years, and it's amazing. Read passage 1, answer. Yes. Especially, Sarah, for those taking like those standardized reading tests that are just awful. Yes. Teach this to your kids. Teach them to be strategic because they have to take so many tests. All right. So that is, let me stop sharing here. That is my reading strategy. Okay. And it's not mine. I didn't make it up. I got it from being an ACT prep specialist. So know that. And then POE, process of elimination, also absolutely, absolutely. When they're taking paper tests, they can actually map the passages. There's a whole other thing for ACT if you take a paper test and SAT. So there's a bunch of strategies there. But this, breaking it up, looking at that. And if you're like, I don't remember that, you can watch this again. It's recorded. So go back and watch it again. But please, read more. I'm going to do some videos. I've made a commitment to read at least 2 books each month. That's not related to work. I'm going to share some of the things that I am reading on my TikTok and on YouTube shorts and things like that to have some ideas of what to read. But you should be reading a lot more. Make time to do that, and it will help. You get better. Like, you notice if you read and you haven't read in like a week or a month, you're like choppy and you're like, what did I read? But if you've been reading all day, you're like cruising through that. It's a muscle. You gotta massage it. Okay. All right. Now let's get into the grammar. Now I'm going to actually do this. Let me go to my screen here. I got to pull this over here. Okay. So let me share entire screen here. We are going to go over to my grammar section. So this is going to be the second part of the test. And this is going to be, grammar, straight up grammar, where you have to understand comma splices and semicolons and things like that. I have a lot of good videos on this when it comes to my online courses, but also I have a grammar playlist on my YouTube channel. So check that out. Now, when we read the answer choices, and again, I always like to just see what I'm talking about here. It's like, okay, I've got to replace the word here. So let's read the question. Aunt Judy was happy to see that my mom was sitting with my sister and me. Okay, we have a choice to change was to were, my mom to mom, was to were, me to I, or no error. No error is correct a lot of the time. Don't be afraid of no error. People are usually afraid of this on grammar tests because your task is to fix it, right? That's what the thing is. But don't be afraid of no error. Okay, so here we go. Aunt Judy was happy. That makes sense. So we're not going to change that to were. To see that my mom, okay, here's the deal with mom. You could say Aunt Judy was happy to see that mom was sitting next to me. But if I did that, it would have to be a capital M because then mom becomes a proper noun. It becomes a name. But my mom is fine with a lowercase. So it can't be B because then that would be grammatically incorrect because you would be lowercasing the M in the proper noun. So we're going to cross that out. So my mom was sitting. My mom were sitting. No. So we're not doing that. And here's the tricky one. That my mom was sitting with my sister and me. A lot of people think that this should be my sister and I. It's called overcompensation because when we were growing up, we got corrected a lot when we would say, hey, mom, can me and Karen go to the store? And she would say, who? And we would say, me and Karen. And she would say, who? And you would say, Karen and I. Can Karen and I go to the store? Well, that's because Karen and I are the subject. And I is a subject pronoun. I, he, she, they, and me. No, me is not. Sorry. That's the whole point here. Me is not. I, he, she, they, we. Sorry. We. I went to the store. He went to the store. She went to the store. They went to the store. We went to the store. They all happen in the subject. Okay. Now, me, him, her, them, and us are all direct object pronouns. My mom went to the store with me. My mom went to the store with him. My mom went to the store with her. My mom went to the store with them. My mom went to the store with us. We wouldn't say my mom went to the store with I. My mom went to the store with he. No, because the subject in that sentence is my mom. The direct object is me, him, her, them, us. So in this case, me is correct. This is no error because my mom was sitting with me. Whenever you want to know, just say, take out the other person. My mom was sitting with me, not with I. Also, another trick, with or of equals direct object. That goes with whom as well. Your mom was sitting with whom? My mom was sitting with her. Not your mom was sitting with who? Who was your mom sitting with? Wrong. Because you wouldn't say my mom was sitting with she. My mom was sitting with they. You would say my mom was sitting with them. So you would say my mom was sitting with whom? With them. A lot of people don't know that because now we just use who. We don't use whom. All right. Let's have a look at the next one here. Okay, so I can see my answer choices here. I've got a bunch of stuff. Also, right away, I can cross off C because English should be capitalized no matter what. So I at least eliminated that. All right. The book To Kill a Mockingbird is part of the high school English curriculum, but many schools have banned the book. Okay, so there are a couple things going on here. They're assessing your understanding of an A positive or an adjectival clause. They are assessing your ability to identify the independent clause and the other independent clause. They are assessing your understanding of coordinating conjunctions and punctuation. So let's have a look. This right here, To Kill a Mockingbird, is called an A positive, also called an adjectival clause. It is describing the book. The book, To Kill a Mockingbird, is part of the high school curriculum. You could essentially take this out here at the commas. Notice it has 2 commas, and that's important. You could take that out, and it would read, the book is part of the high school English curriculum, but many schools have banned the book. Notice that reads, we got a little issue here, but that first part, the book is part of the high school English curriculum, goes fine without that To Kill a Mockingbird. Now, here's the deal. You got to have both the commas there. You can use commas, which we have here. It is taken off the on both sides, basically bracketed out. You could also use parentheses. You could also use M dashes. I love an M dash. I'm a total nerd for an M dash. You will not see M dashes on this exam, but you will see it on ACT and SAT. Okay. If you care. So you can see here, any of those works, and it's doing the right thing. So if you only have 1 comma, you've got a problem, because then it's the book To Kill a Mockingbird is part of the high school curriculum. It doesn't work. You need those 2 commas off to bracket out that A positive or adjectival clause. Okay. Now we have an independent clause here. The book is part of the high school English curriculum. And we also have an independent clause. Many schools have banned the book. Both have a subject and a predicate and can stand on their own. Well, I have separated this with a coordinating conjunction, a fanboy. This is in the book and in the online course, fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Typically, you're going to see and but, maybe an or a so. But these are coordinating conjunctions, and on their own, they cannot separate 2 independent clauses. Let me just show you something here. The only thing that can separate 2 independent clauses on its own is a semicolon, because or a colon, but we'll talk about that in a second. A semicolon on its own is strong punctuation. It can separate 2 independent clauses. A comma is not strong enough. No, that's a comma splice, and it's incorrect. In order for it to separate 2 independent clauses, you have to have the coordinating conjunction, the fanboy. Also, you can't have the fanboy without the comma if there are 2 independent clauses. If you said something like, my friend was excited to go to the party, but left early, then you just have left early. That's a verb phrase. It's a clause. It's not an independent clause. You could just use the but there. But if you have the book is part of the high school curriculum, many schools have banned it. Many schools as a subject have banned it, is predicate. The book is part of, we got subject and predicates on both sides. The coordinating conjunction alone is not enough. You got to add that comma. So D would be the answer. So that's very, very important. Now, you could use a colon if the colon was separating 2 independent clauses and the first independent clause was defining the second independent clause, but you probably will not see that on this test. They keep it fairly simple. Okay, so that's really, really important. The problem here is, and look, when you're on the grammar test and you see an and, but, or so, or yet, or any of these fanboys here, slow down and check both sides. and make sure that if there is no comma, that you do not have two independent clauses. For example, like I said, he liked the party but left early. Okay. He liked the party is an independent clause. Left early is not. That's a dependent clause or a verb clause. This would be fine. But if it said, but he left early, if I insert a little he there, now I got a subject and a predicate. The dependent clause becomes an independent clause and I need a comma. So just remember that. I have a bunch of videos on that and in the online course, and I also have a ton on my YouTube channel. All right, let's talk about the essays really quick, and then I'm going to get to math. All right, here's a couple things about the essays. I have so many prompts in the new book. I think I have like 10 argumentative prompts and like 5 source-based prompts. So let's talk about this really quickly. First of all, on the exam, this is what I know to be true based on the test specifications and what the test companies release online. They usually will have some sort of strong statement when it comes to the argumentative essay. All right. So you get 30 minutes for each one. Is it 30 for each one? Oh my gosh. Let me check. It's been a minute since I've looked at this test. Hang on. Let me go here. Tell me in the comments. It's not 30 minutes for each, right? It's 30 minutes total, or is it 30 minutes for each? Let's go here. Sorry. I've got it in the book. Oh my God, this thing is so huge. Let me just check really quickly. Let me know in the chat. I'm going to go over to the chat really quickly. Stop. Per essay. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, we're going back. 30 minutes per essay. Sorry, I have been working on the foundations of reading and their rules are different because it's a different testing company and I couldn't remember. Thank you. Okay, so you have 30 minutes for each essay. That's plenty of time. You've got it. So for the argumentative essay, you're going to get this very strong language where it's like the only important criterion by which to judge a prospective teacher is his or her ability to get along with students. Okay. So that is like the statement. It's going to be easy to agree or disagree. All right. You're not in the middle. Okay. You might say, well, it's sort of true, but it's kind of not true. No. We got to write this essay easily and get out of there because we have another essay to write. Don't worry about like if it's easier, like let's say it's easier to write. Let's say you don't agree with this, but it's easier to write that you agree with it. Then do that. No one's going to judge you on that. We're judging your writing. But here's the thing with the essays, I like to work backward as well. So make sure you always start with the task. And here's the task with the argumentative essay. It's always going to be this. Discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with this point of view and support your position with specific reasons. Okay? So here's the deal on this. You have to take a position and then you have to defend it and not just speak in abstractions. You have to have concrete evidence as to why. And so you have to use words like, for example, for instance. And then it also says, use examples from your own experience. You can use I in this if you want to. Now, some people are diabolically opposed to using I because it's been beaten into them when you're writing an essay for any type of test, third person. That's okay too. You can use third person. Just make sure you're using for example, and giving specific details. Now, in this case, there are a couple ways you can do this. You could write one paragraph, one good paragraph, or you could write, 4 paragraphs. It's up to you. Here's what I want to make sure you do. For one, it needs to be organized. Secondly, you need to make sure there are specific details in there because without them, you are not going to get the right skills, okay? Or the right score. So let's have a look. This is a 3-paragraph one. Notice right away, I say I disagree, okay? So let's say I get this and I'm on my scratch paper. I'm going to immediately say, no way. The most important criteria to judge a teacher is his or her ability to get along with students. No, we need teachers who are skilled in their content area. We need teachers who understand classroom management. We need teachers who, there's all kinds of things we need here. So what I would do is I would write like content knowledge on my scratch paper, content knowledge. And again, I'm writing very quickly here because I'm just doing quick bulleted parts. So content knowledge, classroom management. Let's see here. Being able to look at data. If you're, look at data. There's a bunch of things we could do here. Content knowledge is probably one of the easiest ones. What if you get along with students and you're teaching math and you are terrible at math? That's not going to be a great math teacher, right? You might be a great other teacher in another subject area, but if you're a math teacher, you need that content knowledge. So I'm thinking about it in my brain. I'm putting it on my scratch paper. You know what? I think I'm going to go with content knowledge because for me, that's going to be the easiest one. Or you might say, I've done a lot of professional development in classroom management. I'm going to write to classroom management. Okay. For me, I have a doctorate in educational leadership. Data obviously is going to be a big part of my leadership. That might be something I write to, but you're just coming on. Content knowledge might work. Okay. So now let me think. Okay. Number one, I disagree. So I need a paragraph as to why I disagree. Then I need another paragraph to tell them why content knowledge is important with specific details. So let's have a look at that. So right away, I say, I disagree. You do not have to go, some people believe blah, 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 blah. And it has been suspected that yada, yada, yada. No, it says in the thing right here, discuss the extent to whether you agree or disagree. So first things first, check. I disagree. And then I say why. It is important for teachers to be experts in their content areas. Then it's more important than it is for them to be popular among students. And I even put a for example in there. For example, a biology teacher must have detailed understanding of topics like cell division, osmosis, photosynthesis. So I give specifics. Notice how specific it is. Don't just say, oh, they need to be experts in their content area. Show me, don't tell me. That's going to push you over the edge. Okay. Similarly, and you could have stopped there and said it's very important that they have content knowledge, right? But I added in English teachers must have a thorough academic understanding of grammar, usage, structure, and composition in literature. Okay. Lots of examples in that first paragraph. Even if I ran out of time and that's all I wrote, I'd probably be teetering on a 3 because I fulfilled all of it. But there's one thing. It says use your own experience. Well, that could be my second paragraph. And here's the thing. You can lie about your experience to meet the needs of this. You might not have a personal experience. Lie and say, in my experience, who cares? They're not going to come and check your background. They're grading your writing skills. Okay. So here we go. In high school, I had an English teacher who was notorious for being difficult to deal with, or you could say who was very unpopular or who students didn't like. I, along with others, found him abrasive, stuffy. He certainly wasn't getting along. I gave a specific detail. I didn't say he was unpopular, just that. I said he also was stuffy, he was rude, whatever. We found his teaching style outdated. He demanded we diagram sentences, rewrite paragraphs over and over. You could have just said those 2 sentences. You could have said, in high school, I had an English teacher who was notorious for being difficult to deal with. He made us diagram sentences and rewrite paragraphs over and over. You can shorten this. I'm just giving you lots of options here. Here we go. However, during my freshman year of college, I quickly realized that because my English teacher's approach, my knowledge of grammar, punctuation, and structure was far beyond my classmates. However, when I got to college, I realized this English teacher set me up for success. Turns out, my English teacher had prepared me. Now, I could leave it there. I don't have to go any further. I have just fulfilled all of it. But you might be an overachiever and you might not be able to stop writing without a conclusion. You don't need it. It doesn't say you need it anywhere in the specs, anywhere in the task. But you could sum it up in saying being an effective teacher is not a popularity contest. Teachers must be experts. Although it's helpful for a teacher to be well-liked, that's not the only quality. You basically just summed up this here. Now, what does a 1 paragraph look like? This would get you a 3 also. I disagree with the idea that a prospective teacher should be judged solely on their ability to get along with students. It's more important for them to be experts in their content area. In high school, I had an English teacher who was notorious for being difficult with. He was stuffy. We found his teaching style to be outdated, diagramming sentences, rewriting paragraphs, proofreading constantly. Then I get into, however, during my freshman year, I realized that this was good for me, blah, blah, blah. Turns out my English teacher prepared me and I was far above everyone else. He was the least popular, but he was the most effective. And then although it is helpful for a teacher to be well-liked, that's not the only thing that makes them effective. This would get you a 3, maybe even a 4, and you would be good. Remember, you have two graders. So you might say that on your score report, let me just look at something really quickly because I have the rubric here. Yeah. I'm sorry, not a 3. We want a 4. So it's out of 6. So here's what I'm going to explain to you also. On your score report, you see out of 12, right? And you're like, wait, a 4, a 5, a 6? What are you talking about? So you have two graders, and they both have to agree within 1 point, meaning someone could give you a 4 and the other person might give you a 5. If you add those together, you got a 9 out of 12. That's a pretty good score. I mean, that along with your multiple choice, if you did well on the grammar, you would pass. Okay. Now, if you get 6 from grader 1 and 6 from grader 2, you got a 12 out of 12. I have not seen that on a score report, but some of you may have gotten that. You can tell us in the chat. That's why you see it out of 12. People are confused on that. So you want to be shooting for here, a 4. I'm sorry, I told you before this would be a 3. And I told you that I've been working on the foundations of reading. They are out of 4. So I tell people shoot for a 3. You're out of 6. A 4 says you're competent. A 5 says you're pretty well confident. And a 6 says you're on fire. Okay. And you might say, well, I've got my master's and I should be on fire. Who cares if you're not on fire for this? You need a 4. You need 2 4s, which gives you an 8 out of 12. Anything over that's going to be great. Okay. Now let's have a look at source-based. Let's go. And I have this on the actual, I got to share because it's too big for my thing. So I'm going to share it on here. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let me share my screen really quickly a different way. Okay, let me see if you guys have any. How is the essay graded? Bridget, hopefully I cleared that up for you. 2 graders have to come within 1 point. It's out of 12. Each grader gets out of 6, but they combine them. I get brain freeze during practice essays and I have difficulty coming up with examples. Any suggestions? I would practice writing over and over again. And look, anything is an example. So, if you say like, I had a professor who was stuffy, he made us diagram sentences, that's plenty of examples. You just got specific. It's a specific detail. You don't need 5 or 6. You need 1 good one or maybe 2. So that's going to help you. All right, let me show you here. The next one is going to be the source-based. Close this. Okay, people are afraid of this too, but this actually becomes a lot easier than the argumentative essay. The argumentative essay is one that you have to kind of come up with your own thing. The source base gives you all the information. All right, so let's have a look here. First, I'm just going to peruse and see what I'm looking at. Oh, I got artificial intelligence. Okay, artificial intelligence. Okay. And then I want to read this, but you're going to know what this is because you're studying, but this is always the same. Read the 2 passages and write an essay which you identify the most important concerns. Explain why they are important. Your essay must draw information from both. It's basically going to say, evaluate both of these and tell me what's the same or different. Okay. Then I'm going to read this. Now I know my task. I've quickly looked at my essays or my source-based articles. Another thing you can do here, you can see, is artificial intelligence dangerous? 6 AI risks. Okay, sounds like a bad article saying it's bad. MIT Technology Review, AI, a force for good. Okay, so now we've got 2 opposing views. This is why you work backwards. Jump around, like have a look before you just dive in, okay? Get to know things, okay? So now I know I got a bad one. Oh, it's bad risks, and a good one. You might get 2 good. It might be AI helpful for hospitals. And the next one might be AI helps students. Okay, you have 2 that are helpful, but they're helpful for different reasons. The first one is helpful for hospitals. The second one is helpful for students. You can still talk about and distinguish between the 2. So people have been saying, well, I got a source base. They were both favorable. That's okay. They're still different. They're in favor of it, but in favor for different reasons. So that's going to help you. All right. So now I know they're 2 opposing, and let's just read this because this is going to help me. So artificial intelligence is progressing rapidly. While science fiction often portrays AIs as robots and human-like characteristics, AI can encompass anything from Google search algorithm, blah, blah. We all know this. Many people believe that AI is not malevolent because it is not likely to exhibit human emotions, meaning it's not bad. Okay. However, others fear that AI will become conscious and destroy us. Oh God. And that could happen. I mean, anything can happen and be used for evil purposes. Okay. So again, this is reinforcing that one is good and one is bad. Okay. So right away, I'm going to go to, let's go to my, now I'm going to go back to my presentation. Please hold. Because now I can go over here. Sorry. I have it in two places here. Okay. So right away, I'm going to set up my little T-chart on my book or on my booklet that they give me or my dry erase board, whatever they give you. So you can see one of the, and you can look at this in your free study guide. Mar is the one who said AI is bad. MIT said AI is good. I know that before ever reading them. Okay. I know that before ever reading them. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to leave two areas and pretend I haven't filled this in yet. I want to get two specific examples from AI is bad and two specific examples from AI is good. All right. Now I'm going to jump back to my other screen here. Sorry. I wish they had a way to just split screen. Maybe they do. Let's see. Let me see something here. I'm going to try this. Let me go here. See if you guys can see it. No, it won't do it because I'm reflecting. Okay, here's what I'll do. Sorry, I was going to try to. Here we go. Okay, so we see that AI is bad, AI is good, AI is bad, AI is good. Okay. Now, I do not have to read this entire thing here. I need to go find two goods and two bads, or two bads and two goods here. All right. So let's go to Mar first. AI is bad. All right. So I'm going to quickly look in here. Some notable individuals. Okay. Fluff. Okay. Here we go. AI programmed to do dangerous, as in the case of autonomous weapons, programmed to kill. That sounds pretty bad. Let me throw that in there. Autonomous weapons. But then I need a little bit more specific. They might get a mind of their own and kill everybody. Okay, that's a good specific detail. Machines don't value human life. They get a mind of their own, whatever. Okay. All right. Let's do one more. They can collect, track, and analyze so much about you. They can use the information against you. Okay. Tracking and privacy issues can be used to prosecute people for crimes. I found that in there as well. China's social credit system uses to put people in jail. Notice I didn't start up here and start getting all worked up all over this. I just came in. I'm like, okay, I need two bad things. Okay. Autonomous weapons, mind of their own, program to kill. Ooh. And then over here, tracking me, put me in jail. Don't like that. Going to put that on there. All right. Got it. Now I need MIT. AI is good. Let's go find some good. Scrolling down here. Okay. With finance, AI is gaining traction, opportunities for underserved segments of the population. All right. Here's one on education. I like education because that's my place. That's my area. So AI programs can improve student outcomes. You know what? I'm going to grab that because I know more about that than finance. So I'm going to put learning. And what does it do for learning? It adjusts to their learning needs. It responds to their learning needs. Okay, I'm gonna put that under there. Boom. And then let's grab one more. Hospitals, medical. Yes, it can collect advanced information in advance. It can target your stuff, whatever you got going on. Okay. Pre-diagnosis that saves doctors time. All right, I got it. Now I'm going really quick with you right now because this is a webinar. But look, you don't have to spend an hour looking at this entire thing. You need, sorry, keep it left clicking or right clicking. This is a lot. Just pick out the information. Now, if they're both the same, let's say they're both like AI is good, find why Mar thinks it's good, and then find out why MIT thinks it's good. So then you would put Mar good, MIT good, and just make sure you have different stuff going on here. That's all. We're just summarizing the articles. Okay. Now let's have a look at what I did. This could get you the 4 here. There's no intro and no conclusion. This is fine. You only have a half an hour. You're not writing a dissertation. So you can see here, March 2018. All right, let's take a look at my citation. It says cite evidence from text. I like to use APA. That's the last name of the author and the date. And that is available in, let me swipe over again. I'm sorry I keep swiping, but I want you to see. You can see that it's right here in the beginning. They give it to you, right? So all you have to do is distinguish. Mar 2018 asserts that AI can be dangerous. And the time is now to determine how dangerous. And then I get specific, argues that AI can be used as autonomous weapons, get a mind of their own. In addition, Mar states that AI can be used to track, analyze people. So now I got my second one here. Mar cites China's social credit system. Notice I am using the article. I am, excuse me, paraphrasing it. And I'm just throwing in the last name and the date. You're citing just fine. Oh, should I use quotation marks? You can, but don't worry about it. If you use a direct quote, throw some quotation marks up. All they want you to do is reference the person who wrote the article. They just want to see that you can reference it. And now this one, I did it a little bit differently. Conversely, MIT released an article in 2018. That's a good enough citation too. You could do MIT 2018, or you could say in MIT's article in 2018, it praised AI and outlines ways it can be used as an effective tool. For example, AI can be used positively for it can be used positively for student outcomes. For example, AI can differentiate learning and tailor curriculum. MIT shows how AI can be used in hospitals to improve patient outcomes. For example, good word. AI is being used to collect advanced patient information, helping with pre-diagnosis. Notice I turned this into this. Practice. There are tons of prompts in the book. Practice. And if you wrote to one already, write to it again in a different way. Choose the other stuff in the article. I have a couple articles in my book that are for SourceBase that are similar. So not just opposite, they also have samesies. So if you're looking for those. Okay, now this is a little much, but I'm just going to show you. You could write 4 paragraphs if you want to be extra, but this one here is just fine. This would get you, all it said was summarize each article and use evidence from each article and cite the authors. You could, I would write these first. Whenever I write a 4-paragraph essay, and I hate the 5-paragraph essay, death to the 5-paragraph essay because it's pointless. I write my details paragraphs first, because if you run out of time, you at least got down what they wanted you to do. Don't start at the top. Start here. The details are easier to write. Then if you got some extra time, you want to throw in an intro, you can say AI is advancing rapidly. It's enabled people to do their jobs more efficiently. However, there are concerns. You do that contrast in there. The debate about AI being a tool for good or dangerous weapon is ongoing. I mean, it's generic stuff. It's fluff. You really don't need it for this task. But if you want it, you can put it there. Then I've got my 2 details that I already talked to you about in this last one. And then you might throw a conclusion if you want, not necessary. I've seen some of the sample essays online that ETS produces for you to look at in the test specifications. And some of the 2-paragraph essays are like an advanced essay, level 4, 5, maybe even a 6. And you can see the benefits. I'm basically summing this up here, but you don't need it. You could just do this and you would be fine. Just make sure you're citing, you're telling me what's going on in each article, and you're using specific details to defend what you're doing. And that will be it. You could also write a 1-paragrapher. I would break it up into 2 only because it makes it easy on the grader. But let's just say you're running out of time and you're freaked out. First part of the essay would be Mar. Second part would be MIT. And notice I got all the, I satisfy everything here. I satisfy the whole rubric. The debate about AI, a tool for good or a dangerous weapon, is ongoing. Okay, intro sentence. Mar 2018 asserts that AI can be dangerous. and the time is now to determine how dangerous. Marr argues that AI can be used for autonomous weapons and develop the mind of their own, which puts citizens in extreme danger. In addition, states that AI can be used to collect and analyze data. Conversely, MIT released an article praising AI and outlines that it can be effective and even improve citizens' lives. MIT shows how AI is used in some hospitals to improve patient outcomes. For example, AI collects advanced patient information, blah, blah, blah. And here's my concluding sentence. As AI is integrated into people's lives, people must decide whether the pros outweigh the cons. I got an intro sentence, an outro sentence, and everything in the middle is specific. And I've cited everything. I actually have satisfied the rubric. So you could do a one paragraph, but sometimes it's harder to be succinct than it is to be wordy. Some of you know that. Okay. And any of my high school English teachers know that students have a very hard time with being succinct. They will write you so much. Okay. All right. Let me go back and see if there are any questions. When you say write details first, are those from your things you pull out and make a chart with? Yes, Talia. So you make the chart really quickly, or you don't have to write a chart. Just put, good, bad, whatever, however you want to organize it. And then write those paragraphs first. So write the good or I think I did it the bad paragraph first. Do the first one you write. So the bad one, Marr, summarize it, give the examples. Write the second one, MIT. Okay. Okay. Let's go. Do you have any practice book? Okay. We already talked about that. What's the hardest math? Okay. I'm about to do math now, guys. Okay. All right. So if you have any other questions about the source base, I know I'm like moving through it pretty quickly, but I'm telling you that is a really great way to attack the writing. And again, like reading, practice. There are, I forget how many prompts. I used to have it down, but I've written a bunch of other books that I'm having to promote, and let's see here. I've got tons of source-based prompts. I'm looking at them right now. There's a ton of them. And then the argumentative prompts, I've got like 10. So, and I updated them too. So, you can, anyways, it's good. Keep writing. Okay. All right. It looks like Felicia, you're talking about math. Lacey, I passed the math already. Anything else I need to know before I leave? Nope. Lacey, you're done. If you pass the math, you're good. Work on that writing and work on that reading. So good luck to you. All right. Now we're moving on to the math section. Math is tough, but you can do it. You just have to practice. Okay. So I'm going to do a few math questions from the free study guide. I like to do proportions because you can solve a lot of questions using proportions on math. But again, I want you to understand that you are a math person. You can do the math. Okay. So let me go ahead and I've got the numbers on here so you can follow along with your free study guide. But if you don't have it in front of you, it's fine because I've got it right here. It's all right here. Okay. All right. So here we go. This is number 8 in the study guide. I'm sorry, my throat is super dry. Okay. Now, I don't have any answer choices for this one, but if I did, I'm going to show you again how to do this. Sometimes you write in the question, write in the answer. Sometimes you have multiple choice. If I did, I would quickly just look at the multiple choice, but I don't, right? And that's okay. They're a little harder that way because you don't have the answer choices to help you. But I can see here, just by looking at this thing, I've got a ratio. I know that with a ratio, I can set up a proportion. So I want to be thinking in advance. Just be thinking all of this stuff in advance. A model of a statue measures 8 inches wide by 6 inches tall. The scale of inches to feet used to make the statue is a ratio of 2 to 5. 2 to 5. This is inches to feet. What is the height of the actual statue? Okay, so we're going to set up a proportion. We're going to make these equal to one another because we have a ratio. Get out your calculator. You are allowed to use a calculator. It is on screen. So I recommend downloading an app where you can put the calculator up on your screen as you work because you have to hit it with the mouse. It's a lot different than typing it. Also, they come free with your computer. So use that on-screen calculator. All right, I'm going to set it up. And here's the thing. We've got some extra information here. We have 8 inches wide, 6 inches tall. It says, what is the height? So we need to use this. What might happen is you've got the ratio 2/5, and then you take this 6/8 or 8/6, and you're like, what do I do here? 2/5 doesn't equal 6/8. Wait, what do I do? It's because there's extra information. You don't need the 8. All right. So we're setting up a proportion, and we're going to make it matchy-matchy. Inches over feet. Feet equals inches over feet. Okay. 2 inches over 5 feet equals 6 inches. I don't know how many feet that actually equals because it's a scale, right? And I'm trying to figure out, based on this ratio, how tall is the real statue if its height is 6 inches on a scale, on a small statue, a replica. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. In this case, you can't just look over to the right here. You need to cross multiply and solve. So we would cross multiply 2x equals 30. Divide by 2, x equals 15. Okay, so let's review this one more time. Let me just erase my writing here so you can see from the problem what's going on. First of all, we have a statue, a model of a statue, a replica, 8 inches wide, 6 inches tall. The scale of inches to feet, meaning we're going to tell you how tall the actual statue is based on the model from this ratio 2:5, inches to 5 feet. Set up a proportion, but we only need this because it says, what's the height? If it said, what's the width, we would only use the 8th, but in this case, we only need the tall or the height, the tall. We only need the height. So we only need how tall it is. All right. So I set it up, matchy-matchy, inches over feet equals inches over feet. You have to have the same things on the top as you do on the bottom. You can't do inches over feet equals feet over inches. It won't work. You could do feet over inches equals feet over inches. So if you flip one, you got to flip them both. Okay. And when we work it out, we multiply, we get 2x equals 30, x equals 15. When you have two fractions and you've got this x here and you're solving for x, cross multiply and solve. You could also do this. There's one other way. You can look to here and say, okay, how many times does 2 go into 6? 3 times. Well, what number does 5 go into 3 times? 15. You could also do that. I like to cross multiply and solve, and I like to tell people about it because that's how you do a proportion. And those of you who struggle with math kind of need to know the math, but you could do that as well. You could look across and go, okay, 2 goes into 6 3 times. What number does 5 go into 3 times? 15. But again, it could be a weird number. You never know if it's not even. All right, here's another proportion. 64 of 320 teachers in a district responded that they wanted to work on a Saturday before school started so they could trade the day for a duty day during the school year. So they say they want to work this one Saturday so they can get off a following day or something. If there are 6,420 teachers in the district, predict how many teachers in the district want to work on a Saturday. So basically, it's kind of it's similar to the model. We have a smaller proportion or a smaller segment of a bigger population. And we're using this to predict for the bigger population, right? So 64 out of the 320 teachers. So part over whole, right? Because they surveyed 320. They didn't survey the whole district. And this happens a lot. To survey 6,000 teachers is a lot harder than to survey 320. And 320 is a relatively large sample size. So you could predict based on this. And 64 of them, part of them, wanted to work that Saturday. Okay, so let's set up a proportion. If there are 6,420 teachers in the whole district, so that is the total. How many want to work the Saturday? So part over whole equals part over whole. Now, you could divide 6420 divided by 320, and you would get 20.0625. 30 goes into this number, 20.0625. And then you could multiply that by 64, and you would get 1284, which is the answer. But let's say on test day, you sort of like, oh, I forgot, what am I supposed to do? Cross multiply and solve. Okay, simple. Cross multiply and solve. You have 320x equals, and you got your thing, 64 times 6420. And you get 410880. Divide by 320. You got a calculator, divide by 320, divided by 320, and I get 1284. You get the same thing. So a couple ways to do it. It just depends on how you want to do it. All right, let's have a look at number 10. This is a scatter plot, and we have a little bit of slope here. We have y equals mx plus b, which is slope-intercept form, and that can be complicated. So let's have a look. Now, this is where your answer choices are going to be your friend. So right away, I'm going to look here, and I know that y equals mx plus b. M is slope. And a positive slope goes up, and a negative slope goes down. Right away, this is the first step. This is a positive slope. Therefore, we can eliminate anything that has a negative in front of m. Well, you can see right here, m is in front of x. -2 is out. -1/2 is out. Because if we do those, the slope is going to be going down. And this one, it's going up. Those dots are going up, okay? All right, so now let's have a look at the slopes. For A, the slope is 2/1. For C, the slope is 1/2. And D, the slope is 1/2. Okay. Now, if you're like, I don't know, this is too much, I don't want to spend a lot of time here, what I would do is grab A and move on. Because likely they are not going to make you distinguish between the 6 and the 1. That's B. They're looking for your basic understanding of a scatter plot. And so these both have the same thing here, and they're going to make you distinguish between the 6 and the 1. If you're like, I don't know this, I don't spend time on it. You want to spend time on the ones that you're going to be good at. So you've already eliminated B and E. Grab A and go because it's different. That's my general, it may work, it may not, but 9 times out of 10, it's the differentiated one. It's the one that's different, right? And you can only have one correct answer here. So that's what I would do. But let's just test it out, okay? So when we're talking about 2/1 or 1/2, this is rise over run, meaning we're going to go up 2/1, or we're going to go up 1/2. Let's try up 2/1 first, okay? Be careful because notice, look at the y-axis. It's in twos. Be careful. Look at your axes. And notice the bottom looks like it's bigger and it's going by ones. Notice the gap is bigger. Okay. So very important there. Now, if I want to go up 2/1, because that's my first slope, let's try that. Okay. So let's start right here and go up 2/1, up 2/1, up 2/1, up 2/1, up 2/1, up 2/1. Up 2/1, up 2/1, up 2/1. That one's looking pretty much like the scatter plot. Remember, scatter plot has dots all over the place, and if there's a correlation, they're like smushed together, right? So that looks pretty good. I would probably go with that and get out of there because that works. But let's try the 1/2. Let's try 1/2. Okay, be careful. Remember, the y-axis, we're going up 2. So if I'm going up 1, I'm going up here. 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2. Notice this line is way down here, not the slope we're looking for. So in this case, A would be the correct answer. Okay, so that one's more difficult. But again, Just grab what you can and go. Why is this not? There we go. There we go. Okay. All right, let's try number 12. 12 is probability and statistics. I can see that in my answer choices, I have all whole numbers. That's good. And I can see that I've got, yellow and green squares. I know right away we're talking probability, but it's a little bit difficult. Let's have a look. A paper bag contains 6 red squares, some yellow squares, and 8 blue squares. If the probability of selecting a yellow square is 5/12 or 5 out of 12, how many yellow squares are in the bag? Okay, really quickly, we have the probability, which is part over whole, right? That's probability. Now we need to figure out what's going on here. So we have 6 red squares plus some yellow squares plus some blue squares. We have 6 red, 8 blue. We're not sure how much yellow. So let's use that as y, the variable y. So 6 plus 8 plus y is going to be the whole thing, right? That's all of them together. So that's going to be 14 plus y, right? 6 plus 8 is 14 plus y is y, 14 plus y. And then we're looking at how many yellow squares. Well, yellow is y. This is where you have probability and algebra and everything else. So let y represent yellow. So part yellow over whole, yellow plus red plus blue. Now we cross multiply and solve, and we get 12y equals 5 times 14 plus y. Distribute. 12y equals 70 plus 5y. Combine like terms by subtracting the 5y on this side. Subtracting the 5y on this side, look, it's looking like it's working out. 7y equals 70. Let's bring it over here. 7y equals 70. Divide by 7. Divide by 7. Y equals 10. D. Now again, you might be like, this is not my strong suit. Grab an answer and go. Don't spend too much time because there are going to be other ones you do want your time for. All right, let's have a look at another one. Choose all of the following that are equivalent to the expression 4a squared. Now, this is testing your understanding of variables and how you can combine like terms. Okay, so is 2a plus 2a equal to 4a squared? No. 2a plus 2a is 4a. We have to multiply those a's in order to get a squared. So I'm not going to choose that box. What about 4a times a? Yes, that equals 4a squared. A times a is a squared. So, yep, I'm going to check that box. What about 6a to the third minus 2a? No, you cannot do that. Is as simplified as it can be, because in order to simplify it any further, this has to be an a to the third. It has to match. So right there, 6a to the third minus 2a is as far as you can go with that because the bases are different. Let's have a look at this one here. 8a to the fourth over 2a squared. Okay. Multiplication and division, you can combine like terms when it comes to the exponents. When we divide, we subtract exponents. When we multiply, we add. So this is basically a division problem. What's 8 divided by 2? 4. What's a to the fourth divided by a to the second? Well, what you're doing here is you're subtracting them. And what do you get? A squared. That is 4a squared. Yes. And what about 3a squared plus a squared? Yes, we have a base of a squared. This is basically a 1a squared, and that becomes 4a squared. So the second, the fourth, and the fifth box is correct. Let's do 2 more. We got 2 more here. All right. Looking at my answer choices, I'm like, oh no, I got to do an inequality. I hate inequalities. These are actually super easy. What you want to pay attention to are the signs. We have a less than sign, a less than or equal to, a greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to, or a less than. Again, if I see two of the same, I'm just going to sort of, and this is not my strong suit, I'm just going to sort of put X by there. It could be that, it could be it, but it's too similar. But if I hate this, I would eliminate those. Let's read the question. If shirts cost $30 and pants cost $48, and John has $300 to spend, which answer choice represents? Let us be this. This is a bunch of fluff. He has $300 to spend. That's what I want you to focus on first. If you have $300, can you spend $300? Yes. Can you spend less than $300? Yes. Can you spend more than $300? No. You have $300 to spend. So we cannot be greater than. So C and D are out. And now I have some less thans, but I can also spend $300. So this is going to be less than or equal to, making B the correct answer. 9 times out of 10 with the inequalities like this, where you have to choose an inequality to represent the word problem, it's going to be like that. Or it might say he has up to $200. That's the same kind of language. That is, you can spend $200 or you could spend less than $200. All right. And finally, let's do a little geometry here. Let me zoom in here. Okay. If lines A and B are parallel, what is the value of X? Okay. We're looking for this. All right. Let me make my pen a little lighter because we're zoomed in. Okay. First things first, I have a triangle here, right here. And I have a 90-degree angle. That means this is a 90-degree angle because it says A and B are parallel. So if things are parallel and you've got a 90-degree angle on one side, you got a 90-degree angle on another. Okay. Just keep that in mind. But we're looking for this angle right here. So what does a triangle equals? A triangle equals 180 degrees. Well, 90 plus 40 is 130. 180 minus 130 is 50. That means this little angle right here is 50 degrees. Now, this here is a 90-degree angle, right? So that 90-degree angle means that the other side of this 50 is 40. Well, this angle and this angle are what we call complementary angles. They equal each other. Notice this angle and this angle equal each other. And this angle and this angle equal each other. Think about it. You move the lines, the angles, both the top and the bottom move and the side move, right? So they are equal to one another. Just erase this. So when we do that, we get X plus 10 equals 40, right? Because I found this by getting the triangle first. Subtract 10, X equals 30. Let me see something really quickly here. Let me pull this over there. Okay, let me go here. Just make sure I get the right thing. Yeah, good. I was just checking, like, where's my answer? So that would be it there. Okay. All right. Let's see what questions you have. Okay, looks like some of you got the right answers. Good job. Good job, Talia, answering questions. How do we know which angle is X? Okay, Talia, there is no angle X. Let me show you really quickly. Let's go here. There is no angle X. The angle is X plus 10. Okay, let me show you. Let me just erase this. We're looking for this X. This right here is X plus 10. This angle is X plus 10. That means this angle here and this angle here are equal. So what I want to do is I want to find that angle. Okay. So I find the triangle angles. 90 plus 40 is 130. That means this has got to be 50 because 50 plus 40 is 90 plus 90 is 180. Every triangle equals 180. Now I know that this is 90 degrees because this is 90 degrees. And we've got parallel lines here. And so if this is 50, then this right here is 40. So x plus 10, that is angle x plus 10 equals angle 40 because complementary angles equal one another. All right. Stop share there. In the answer box, do we need to write x equals 10 or can we just write the number? You can probably just write the number. They're looking for what does x equal? Okay. Strategies for math. Sharon, start with the problems that are easiest for you. If you are good at geometry, for example, go through those. Yes. So that's a strategy for all math or any really, but for math especially. I would go through and look to see which ones you know you're going to get and grab those because you don't want to spend like 30 minutes, and I'm exaggerating, but you don't want to spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes on a problem that you're going around and around. And at the end of the test, you would have gotten 5 more correct had you just guessed on that one and moved on, right? So just go through. If one is giving you a problem, guess and go. Right? Guess and go. Just hit it and go. Now, some people like to flag them and all of that. You can do that. But I want you to get to the problems that you're going to answer correctly. That's really important. So, and again, practice. Do it with my study guide. Do it with the online course when you have the quizzes. Grab the ones that you know first, and then go back and do the ones. Answer every single question. Don't leave anything blank, but do that. And then here's another tip. If you're running out of time, let's say you have 30 seconds left and you have 10 problems left or 5 problems left, use the same answer choices. Go C, 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 C. Just do that. You're going to have a better chance of getting 1 or 2 correct than if you Christmas tree. If you go A, D, C, B, D, and you Christmas tree, you could miss them all. If you go straight down, and it doesn't matter, it could be A, B, C, or D. If just choose one and do it for all of them, you would get 1 or maybe even 2. Okay. How is the math portion scored, Bridget? It is scored on a scale score. So you get a raw score and then the computer converts it to a scale score. So it's really hard to determine how many you got correct. And your particular state determines what the scale score is. So some states are like 157, others are 152, 151. So, it depends. What I would say is shoot for a 70 to a 75% correct. If you get that on your practice test, you are ready. You really only need a low C, high D on this exam to pass. But I say a 75%, you're in the safe zone. Marilyn just dropped the 5733, and now I might have to take the 5003. Which one should I take? They're both tough. The 5003 is elementary education math, but it's hard. They have slope on there. It's hard. I just did 5003 yesterday, and I have a whole course on that too. Or not yesterday, last weekend. I did the elementary education. So check that out. Okay. All right, you guys, that concludes for today. It is Saturday. You just spent an hour and a half doing reading, writing, and math. I'm sure you have better things to do with your time. Let me just show you real quickly one more time where you can get some free stuff and some paid stuff. Let's go here. Let's go to the website. Here is the online course. Again, it's going to have all of those videos and everything you need. You can also just get the study guide. That offer code that we put in the chat and that we're going to send you in the email and everything that goes out after this webinar can be used here, right? All subtests or one at a time. Unfortunately, on Amazon, we cannot give you the offer code, but some people like a physical study guide. Another thing about the physical study guide, please don't buy the used, although there are no used available, but just for future. You might save $3, $4, even $10, but it's going to have writing in it. People will email us and say, I bought the physical, it had writing. in it. It's like, well, you bought a used study guide. I can't do anything about that, So make sure you just spend the extra and get the new, okay? Because the used it's going to have writing on it. Or if you don't care, you can buy the used, okay? The other thing is, let's see here. Remember that, this online course, those of you struggling with math, lots of good stuff here. I mean, hundreds of problems. Also with the writing, I've got a new thing in the writing that uses AI. I show you how to use Chat GPT. Let's see, where did I put it? Yeah, I have a used Chat GPT to score your essays, and I show you how to do that to give you some good scoring practice. So that's awesome. I've done a whole thing on that. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out that course. And that's all on our website. Let's go to, okay. So, on Facebook, we are everywhere here. I just did a bunch of videos and posted them there. Again, here's our new Foundations of Reading test book. Super excited about this. We are also on Instagram. We teach on here. We've got the new foundations here. I am enjoying TikTok like crazy. I am teaching on TikTok. I love it. It's just so much fun. If you like short videos, I do math on here. I do writing. You can see here, I've got some ACT. I'm going to be doing a lot of SAT. I really hope they don't ban TikTok because I love teaching on TikTok, and a lot of students follow me here for ACT stuff. So it's fun to get back in the game with teaching high school students. Let's see what else. YouTube, tons of YouTube videos. And I have a whole, grammar section there. I have a Praxis core playlist, PLT playlist, a math playlist. There are shorts there as well. So definitely check that out. We're everywhere. So whatever you need, you can get it for free or paid, whatever you want to do. And I am just super happy that you spent your Saturday with me. Thank you. Thank you so much. Be on the lookout for that email. If you're watching on social and you want that email, click the link in the description and you will get it. Give us about 20 minutes and that email will come to you with all of the information in it. Again, if you're watching this in the future, you've already received that email if you signed up using the link. So go and use that 20% off coupon that we are putting in the email, and it's in the chat. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. Good luck on your Praxis core. I know you can do it. And remember, lots of people have to take this test more than once. So if you passed one and you got to pass the other two, totally fine. Keep at it. You will pass. I believe in you. And thank you so much for being a teacher. Talk to you later. Bye.